It's Real the People's Champ, back with another YouTube live stream. Trying to do a hat trick today, so this is 2 at 2, September 21st, 2024. Broadcasting live from the QC metro area. Hope everybody is wonderful. Wonderful day, wonderful day. Sun's starting to go down, and it's getting a little cool out there. It was a little toasty. Hope everybody's well. You didn't see the earlier broadcast, sabotaging your relationships. Make sure you watch that on a replay. That was a good one. So, we'll talk about voting. You don't want to be here? Don't be here. Plenty of places to be out here in these YouTube streets. Move around. Shout out to Love Dorsey. But if you are here, you're choosing to stay, hit that like button. Only takes a second. Subscribe. Smash the bell. Share it to your socials and hit the cash app. $ send the number 2, the letter V. Okay? Support the Pure Leaf Tea Fund. Keep your boy hydrated. Talk about voting. Everybody's talking about some kind of politics right now, and a lot of people are clickbaiting. They're restreaming the rallies or interviews, and they're not really offering any content. They're not really saying anything. They're just restreaming, rebroadcasting. Very little content is being added or created from that. This is not one of those channels. Right? Not one of those channels. What we're going to talk about today vote for your sons. This is particularly true for Black America. Okay? This is a critical election, a critical time in American history. And y'all know I'm a student of history. You know, I lecture on it all the time. I'm going on American history in general. But so, this is particularly true if you have a son that's going to graduate or be in a senior year in the next 10 years. What you do now will affect that child. And I know, and I thought it necessary. You know, we always talk, women have insight, men have foresight. So, and I'm always trying to share my foresight with you ladies. Because, again, I have half of my viewership is actually more than half are ladies now. So I try to give y'all things that are useful. So because you have insight, many of you are not thinking 10 years from now. You're thinking right friggin' now. And I look at the polls, and there's a ideological difference in the polls between men and women. The number one issue for women is abortion rights, which is blowing my mind because abortion has nothing to do with this presidential election. That is a state issue. The Supreme Court decided that issue is no longer federal government. That's each individual state is going to decide what they're going to do on abortion. And men don't care. Men can care less. Not because men are insensitive or anything like that. It's an issue that you ladies have made all your own. You wanted it that way. Your body, your choice. That means we're out of it. We have nothing to do with it. We don't even have the knowledge that it's happened. Your daughter or your wife can have an abortion without your knowledge, without the man's knowledge. Has nothing to do with it. So men don't care about that issue. It's not something, the number one issue for men is the economy. So men are worried about the economy, and y'all are worried about something that has nothing to do with this presidential election. We're far apart. Ideologically. And so ladies, being that you have that power, with great power comes great responsibility. Okay? Peter Parker was told that by his Uncle Ben. Shout out to Stan Lee. Ladies, in case you don't know who Stan Lee is the creator of the Marvel Universe. He's that white guy, old white man that's like in every Marvel movie ever. They always manage to put him in the movie. And that's a nod to the comic books. See, the comic books, they used to, Stan Lee, always at the end of particularly the Spider-Man comic books, you know, he had that no pun intended. He always had a little commentary in the comics that he wrote and developed. So when they started doing the movies and creating the MCU, Stan Lee, they always managed to put him inside the movie. Most recently, I remember, was it No Way Home? One of the latest Spider-Man movies. No, it was The Avengers. The one that I'm thinking about right now. Peter Parker was on a bus, and the spaceship was landing. Peter Parker saw it. Spidey sense started tingling. He had his homeboy cause a distraction on the bus so he could jump off the bus. Look, there's a spaceship, and his boy went crazy, and everybody ran to the back of the bus. Peter Parker jumped out the window. Stan Lee was the old man driving the bus. You kids act like you've never seen a spaceship before. That's Stan Lee. I know that was off topic. A little trivia for you. But ladies, because you have the responsibility. We're not going to get into why it is. You have the responsibility of raising these boys primarily by yourselves. Why that is not important. We're talking about that is what's happening. So your voting needs, you got to get rid of the selfish shit and start making decisions that are also beneficial to your sons long term. So when you look at the candidates, you have to have that thought in mind. What are these candidates talking about? And I'm not pushing either one. I'm not pushing one candidate over the other. I'm just trying to get you guys to look at your choice and ask certain questions. What is this candidate gonna do for my son? Whether it be over the next 4 years, because that's how long Donald Trump would have, or if Kamala Harris gets in, she's going to be in for 8 years, more than likely, or potentially. Right? So if you got a son that's going to be graduating in the next 10 years, her policies matter. And I find it strange that neither candidate It's talking about this crappy ass school system we got and what plans they have to correct it. Because our boys and our girls are not reading and writing at grade level. That is a concern. What are we going to do about that? While we're sending millions and billions and trillions of dollars to Ukraine and to Israel, we're doing nothing for our own school systems. Neither candidate has talked about this. I have a problem with that. And then let's look at their records. What have they done in the past to address this issue? Nothing. That's an important issue. Reading and writing. And having opportunities. We're talking about, I always think that the problem with Washington particularly, but with upper middle class people to rich people, they're so out of touch with regular Americans. They're out of touch. They have no clue. So that's why their policy ideas sound crazy and are crazy. Tax cuts don't create entrepreneurship. You have to have most businesses, and I have an MBA, listen to what I'm saying. Most businesses fail in the first few years. They're not turning a profit. Because you need capital. You need capital. You don't need a tax cut, which comes later. You may not make it to the tax cut. You can't buy supplies. You can't hire employees with tax cuts in the beginning when you're just getting started. Same thing with tariffs. I mean, I got some smoke for both candidates. Tariffs are not going to help small businesses. They're not going to help your sons. What are we specifically doing to help our sons? Because a society only goes as far as the next generation of men can push it. Men are the engine that keeps the society running. I mean, just look what's happening now. These young men, college is not the answer. That's what they told us all through the 80s and 90s. Oh, we got to send all our dumbass kids to school. College was never meant for dumb kids. I'm sorry. College is meant for smart kids. This is why 75 to 80% of our children in the black community drop out of college. Because we're forcing everybody down one path that they never should have went down to begin with. And then we leave all of these other opportunities. That's a popular word that both candidates are using. Opportunity zones, opportunity economy. Well, we left a lot of that on the table for other groups of people to come in and plug those holes. Because we try to force our kids down a route that wasn't meant for them. You got a lot of $100,000 a year jobs that do not require college. Good jobs. I was surprised when I was doing my research. Air traffic controllers does not require college. Very surprising. Great job. High paying job. $100,000 jobs. You know, going upwards. And they have a need for air traffic controllers. They have a real need for them. Truck drivers, cargo van expediters, I talk about all the time. And that's only going to increase because, as I told you, AI is going to phase retail out. It's already happening. Y'all saw the story when I told you about Bojangles on Sugar Creek. That the drive-thru is AI. And McDonald's is already developing the technologies where the window, that's not a human handing you your food. That's AI. That's mechanical machines. All AI ran. This isn't Back to the Future 20 years from now. This is next year. McDonald's, and I worked for them for 15 years. That was my first career. They've been planning this shit since the 90s. Right? We got to get closer together on the ideology because it's affecting our kids. We're not, you know, and I saw this when I was a kid. We did Generation X. We did what we were told to do. Do good in school, go to college, get a good job. Well, that's what the silent generation and baby boomers told us. That formula does not work. They prepared us for a world that was already gone. And it didn't work. And they forced a lot of us to go to college. Oh, just do something with computers. And a lot of black men got computer science degrees that ended up being worthless after 1999 because those programming languages died after Y2K. C++, Pascal, AAA. Don't nobody use them programming languages no more. So if you weren't one of the ones who were able to keep up with the paradigm shift and stay ahead and ride the wave and land in IT, which is going to get phased out soon, your degree ended up being worthless. You ended up doing something else. We got to start thinking about our children, but particularly our sons. The girls have an advantage because the educational system, and I have boys and girls, the educational system is designed by women for women. So the girls are, but it's affecting them too. Because it's not just the boys who can't read and write and do math, it's the girls too now. But we don't like correction. We don't like being told we did something wrong. Because words like, oh, you're talking down to me, you're bashing me. It used to be called constructive criticism. And if you happen to be a non-black person telling a black woman that shit, you're racist. I'm racist because you're incompetent and horrible at your job, and I have the nerve to say something about it? That's not racism. Words matter. How many times have y'all heard that? That's my voice. All of these content creators who have that clip of me saying that shit. Words matter. I've been telling y'all for years what racism is, and a lot of y'all don't get it. Dr. Claude Anderson has been running around for 40 years telling you. How many books has he written? Racism, he says, is a competitive relationship between groups of people. They are competing for wealth, power, and resources. And when one group gets so much wealth, power, and resources that they can force another group to act against their own best interests, that, my friends, is racism. Some of you are still blown away because you don't listen. You get triggered. You get in your French toast feelings. Right? Let me give it to you in layman's terms. Racism or bigotry, a lot of times we confuse it with bigotry and prejudice, would be, so the bigotry and prejudice would be, man, them black people sure love chicken, right? That ain't racism. That's bigotry and prejudice. Racism would be, I'm going to use my wealth, power, and resources to make it so black people can only afford to eat chicken. That's the difference. Let that sink in. Let that shit sink in. See, this isn't hatred. Correction, instruction, as the good book teaches us, is love. Right? Pastor Porkchop ain't never said that. Deacon Clapchicks ain't saying that. He was too busy selling them prayer panties. Shout out to Deacon Clapchicks with the prayer panties. Y'all think I'm making it up? YouTube search that prayer panties. Lemonade don't hit the same way tea hits. I'm definitely making some tea soon. I'm a tea drinker. So, what are they gonna do for your son? Most of y'all ain't having no more kids. At this point, I'm not talking to people in their 20s. I'm talking to you 35-year-olds and up, 40-year-olds and up. Why are y'all voting based on abortion rights? You ain't having no babies. Realistically, statistically, but you got a son, and your vote matters to him. What resources are they putting out? See, this is what the silent generation, they fought for these things. They were very concerned politically on what resources were being allocated towards the children. And I told y'all this story before of those of us from the Northeast, particularly New Jersey, where a lot of us migrated to out of the South, out of the Great Migration. We saw the resources that were being put by the white people into the communities. So when we started migrating into those suburbs, which are now the hood, but I digress. When we started migrating into those, we fought to keep those programs in place. Those lunches at the parks and great parks and recreation programs and things of that nature, and the libraries and all of that kind of stuff. It was already in place. That group of black people fought to keep it in place. Right? Great parks and recreation in New Jersey. And some of you may not know what I'm talking about. You know, Go to any, there's always neighborhood parks, several, all over the place. And, during the summertime, they feed the kids in neighborhood lunches, good lunches. Sandwich, like a sub, a hoagie, as y'all call them. A couple of pieces of fruit, cookie, milk, and, some kind of milk and juice to drink. Very nice lunches. Also, somebody got to make those lunches. So they created good jobs also in that community. So a lot of the lunch ladies who worked in the schools during the school year, during the off season, they went and made the lunches at the packaging plants. It's all connected. But what are we doing for our kids? College is not the answer. College has not made a difference in the black community. It hasn't. At the end of slavery in 1865, at the so-called end of slavery, end of the Civil War, you had 4 million newly freed black Americans turned loose on the economy, the majority of which were illiterate. They were responsible, or they owned and controlled 0.5% of the country's wealth. Let's flash forward to today, 2024. What is that number today? What percentage of this country's wealth do 43 million black Americans who are majority literate responsible for? 0.5%. The number has not changed. Even with all his education, that needle has not moved. So we force kids to go. I mean, would you get into a car if you knew you had an 80% chance of getting in an accident? No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Would you get on an airplane knowing you only got a 20% chance of surviving? No, you wouldn't. So why do we send our kids into an environment under those circumstances? Other countries, no other country in the world does that. Other countries do not send mediocre and average students to school. It's a waste of resources. And we're wondering why colleges are failing. Why these HBCUs, and I went to one, why they're struggling financially. Because they're trying to educate kids that you can't educate. Somebody got to peel the potatoes. Somebody got to dig the ditches. Somebody has to clean out the sewage lines. Somebody got to pave the roads. Somebody got to sort out the trash. Everybody's not meant to be a college student. But some of you get offended by me saying that. This is fucking reality, people. It's time for truth. We are in a critical stage. Our black women are facing an extinction level event in the midst of it right now. And nobody's talking about it. We're talking about friggin' abortion during an extinction level event. And you tell me, because I talk about it, I hate women. I'm bashing women. I'm talking down to women. I'm telling you, you're fucking dying on multiple levels. 50 million abortions in less than 50 years. Number one in STDs in the world. Lowest income in America. Bottom of the list, bottom of the list, bottom of the list. And you're getting married at the least rate. I've talked about that so many times. Because you have to have a foundation of community. And community is a husband and a wife. That's how you form communities. Not single, independent boss bitches. So we stay on the same course that we're on now. Black women as we know them now will not exist in 40 years. 2 generations. The numbers don't lie. This is math. This ain't my opinion. This is math. I started the silent generation who were getting married at a 90% rate. The next generation is baby boomers. They got married at half of that, at a 45% rate. The next generation is Gen X. They got married at a 25% rate. The next generation is millennials, which is somewhere we're still figuring them out. Get down to the doggone Zoomers. They're getting married at a 10% or less rate right now for their lifetime. For a lifetime. It's not sustainable. And we talk about the quote-unquote black community, right? There is no such thing. That died in the 80s. You got a couple of neighborhoods, but you ain't got no community. Where is it? What's the code of conduct? What's the rules? Where the families at? Right? It don't exist no more. You got, if you was born in the 90s, you never saw it. You think you know what a community is. You think you know what a black community is, but you don't. You never saw it. You saw black neighborhoods at best. You never saw a black community. And then y'all get offended when somebody says something to you. These are facts. These are undisputed facts. And y'all want to sit around and fucking argue facts. And leader after leader has been saying this for decades. You just won't listen. Y'all want to argue stupid ass politics and stupid ass philosophies and dumb shit while our kids are suffering. You're supposed to be able to graduate high school, go out into the workforce, get a job, start working and being productive towards society and be able to sustain yourself. That is what you're supposed to be able to do. These kids today can't do that. Here in Charlotte, in the Charlotte area, they are renting bedrooms for $1,000. And you got these kids are pairing up to split a bedroom. A bedroom where 15 years ago, you had a whole house, a nice house on the cul-de-sac for $1,000, including property tax and HOA. But because you don't have any foresight, y'all, I was sounding the bell back then during those robo foreclosures. Y'all didn't listen then. Because a certain group decided to give y'all more entitlements and free money, and y'all took that money and went on girls' trips and wanted to travel. Well, now you're back home and you can't pay your fucking light bill. Hello. Remember I was saying that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that they was using light bill money to go on cruises? Everybody said, nah, V, you crazy, man. That's crazy talk. They used all the stimulus money to do the same thing, to go on cruises and go down to Cabo. People, vacations are for families, for working people. You got people who don't work who's going on vacations and traveling. Like they come from some upper middle class lifestyle or something. And what happened? What did that do to the economy? It forced us into a recession. All that free money, somebody got to pay for it. Somebody had to pay for it. It's not sustainable. So people start talking about tax cuts and shit like that. Where is that money coming from? We're sending, one of these politicians, not saying who, committed, no, I'm not going to do nothing for black folk, but yes, I'm committed to sending billions of dollars over the next decade, each year, to the Israelis who have a surplus in their economy already. What? What sense does that make? Oh, I had a comment. What sense does that make? I'm not telling y'all who to vote for. I'm telling y'all to look at it through the lens of your sons, particularly. And not just when I say your son, I'm not talking about, you may be a woman who doesn't have a son. You may have a daughter, but you got a nephew, you got a cousin, you got a brother. That's who I'm talking about. The sons of the community. What are they doing for them? Because you don't go no further than they do as a society. That's how societies work. That's why every other nation on the planet, they always build up their sons. They always pump resources into their sons. Ain't that something? And they lied to y'all. Well, the Mexicans, they work so hard. And what did I tell y'all? That's bullshit. I've been telling y'all, nobody works harder than a black man on this planet. We have worked ourselves to death. Nobody else has done that. Maybe you get close with the Chinese rail workers when we were settling the West. Maybe you get to them. That's the closest you get. I told you these Mexicans, they wasn't building houses in Mexico. So what are we finding out now? These houses that they've been snapping together like Legos ain't shit. They falling the fuck apart. You don't believe me? YouTube search DH4. YouTube search that. If you don't believe me, see how they construction problems or something like that. See, and they're the largest home builder in America. Look at the houses that these damn crews of Mexicans were putting together. And they always got beer early in the morning. You see them buying cases of beers and shit. And then you look in the houses and they dig in the walls. You got beer cans all inside your walls and shit. And the houses are falling apart. And then they won't even be covered under warranty. Pay attention. Before y'all talking about, I'm gonna buy a house. Cause y'all don't have no foresight, so you ain't thinking about this kind of shit. You just want to be able to tell somebody you bought a house and the motherfucker fall apart 2 years after you bought it. And then you want a man to come in here, rescue and fix that shit and put it together, and men are saying, fuck no. You shouldn't have bought it to begin with. Alright? Hit the like button, people. Give my like some. What are we talking about? But I hate you. Because I don't want you to buy a fucking house that's going to crumble around you. I hate you. Because I want what's best for you. I hate you because I want what's best for your child. Beware of the man who speaks soft as butter and smooth as oil. right? But y'all love motherfuckers who talk smooth as butter and soft as oil to you. That ain't V Ben Israel. I'm not that dude. It's falling apart. The empire is collapsing, as all empires have done. They all have collapsed. Nobody thought Rome was going to fall. Nobody thought Persian Empire was going to fall. Macedonia, any of these great empires. The Spaniards, the English. Nobody thought those empires were going to fall, but they did. And it happened swiftly. But the signs were there. We're living through those signs now. Vote for your sons. What are best for them? What are their interests? And their interest ain't abortions. Ladies, I don't understand how that's your number one issue when it's not nothing the president has anything to do with it. Or ever did. Presidents don't make laws. That's all I got, man. Like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate y'all stopping by the People's Podcast. Like, subscribe, and share on your way out the door. Stay tuned. Maybe we'll turn this hat trick. Maybe I'll come back on that night. Stay tuned.